kid is sitting in that room, whether
The
he's
last
sitting at a
time we bought
PC or a
typewriters, I was
typewriter.
horrified.
Yeah.
And that was a while ago now. So that's certainly something worth looking at.
Save a few bucks, I don't know. And I guess you've covered everything else. I think the significant thing with that grant for the school to careers, I'm not aware of any other grants at the high school that's currently going to assist in the curriculum. No, there's nothing.
Sir?
I have a question. Where do all the students go from elementary to high school? Population. Why does it drop so much?
One of the things that happens is that when youngsters reach 9th grade, many of them do go to either parochial or private schools.
Why?
Why? Well, the parochial schools, for one thing, is they can offer something that we can't legally offer, and that's religious education. As far as the private schools are concerned, some people follow their parents, some people feel it's a better education. I'm encouraged to see some of those people coming back. I'm seeing families where one youngster has gone to a private school and another has stayed here at North Reading Public Schools because we are really doing very well.
Have you approached IBM to fund your computer systems? Since they're right here in town, Lotus?
Yes, we've worked with Lotus.
They give you a lot of money? They have a ton of money for the computer stuff.
We have worked very closely with Lotus, and they've been very generous in a number of ways.
That's what I assume,
Yeah.
including PCs, et cetera?
Mostly software.
Because the parent company's got bundles for this stuff. They really do. I mean, IBM, there's a lot of money for grants.
Generally, what we found with grants and working with partners is that it's not so much an outright donation, but looking for ways in which a particular company can provide in-kind services, staff training, just other than here's money or here's a particular piece of hardware. They want to look for ways in which a program can build, and again, go back to the example that I just mentioned about looking for partnership with Cisco and bringing in a specific model program. In general, that's the direction that most of these partnerships will take. And we've been very successful in working in that.
Because IBM competes with Cisco, so they have networks, they have CAD/CAM.
Right.
They've got office products.
A different area.
Okay. Just wondering.
Gentleman in the back? No? John?
Let me express a few concerns. One is I've been following what the state is changing under education, and one of the big things is they're plowing a lot of money into auditing because of a lot of abuses. So, you know, it's everything from Lawrence up there to that episode to somebody taking funds and hiring a separate superintendent to vehicles that weren't supposed to be in the budget. So
I know we were audited last year, don't you?
Well, my question is if they're going to triple the amount of auditors. So if I was an auditor tonight and I asked you if I could perform a paper trail, would everything in our system be in order? That's the question.
We were audited.
We were, you've been reading in the Globe the past week, the conference that occurred last Thursday at Brandeis University. Mr. Nelson and I attended that conference. It focused on the 20 school districts that were audited last year. We were one of the 20. The report was very, very favorable for all kinds of practices, educational, budgeting, staff development here in North Reading. Yes, the answer is they could find the paper trail.
Number two, Steve, this is going to be my 10th year, but I understand by law under reform, we're supposed to put the total cost of the school system in the budget, which you know that I know up there at Town Hall, we're covering a certain percentage for all the health insurance, etc. Now, I don't want to know the number. What I'm nervous about is, with all the turmoil going around with HMOs, etc., I don't want to see employees that work for us getting stiff. So the question is, are we asking George, is he making another change with the insurance companies down there that just because it's cost and then we find out we get employees around here aren't getting the benefits, because that's what's going on. So I'd like to see it's followed up and it isn't a big surprise that gee, we just got stiffed in our insurance policy because we're trying to cut costs. They're all in turmoil. I'm not asking for the number. I know it's a big number. It's over 900,000. So I'm saying this budget's 14 million plus another million to run the system.
You'll see that number as well.
But you're supposed to show it.
Brad is here. Is that number going to be in the warrant?
Supposed to.
Yeah.
It's salaries.
It's been in the warrant every year for some years now.
Of 2 million and
My
change.
understanding is it's supposed to be presented in this now, you know, and the whole entity's supposed to be to show what it costs to run a system. You know, a naive person would think that the budget for the schools in North Reading is $14 million, and I'm telling you, it's another million.
Those adjustments are handled through town hall, and they are in the warrant.
Okay. Overruns. I'd like to direct this to Carl. That big dig project out there that I asked you about in September, and I'll quote you what you told me. I asked you about the safety of the children, and I asked you when it was going to be done.
Yes.
And you distinctly said there'd be no safety problem. And I followed every truck that's been going in there, and I know that we ran into a little issue that held it up. And I want to know if the issue's resolved, because the other day, I saw teachers standing over there. We're not paying teachers to be monitors to keep kids away from that trench over there. So I want to know when that job's going to be completed, or is it a fact that there's money we don't have and it's an overrun? What's the problem?
In all honesty, I don't know what problem you're referring to.
Well, you ran into a pipe problem that belonged to the town, and you had discussion with the DPW director. It isn't resolved, so I don't know if the school committee's going to resolve the immaterial. I want to know when we're going to cover it over. I mean, there's no excuse.
I would...
Is the job done?
I would respectfully disagree with your characterization of that as a problem. When they were digging the leaching field, they found some clay pipe that emptied the water from the student high school parking lot underneath the field out behind Ryer's store into that area. They noticed that pipe there. When they noticed it, they determined that they better not go any closer to it so that they wouldn't damage it, and we made a small correction to the location of the leaching field so that there would be no problem. So
That's resolved.
that was resolved.
So why isn't it covered over?
The next step is to seed. We're waiting for Mother Nature to cooperate. The plans are to seed that area in early to mid-April. It has followed the schedule we laid out almost to the day. At this point, all we do is put the field back in, put loam back, and seed, and that is expected to take place in
I
April.
hear you, please. I hear you. All I'm saying is, get the guy over there to bulldoze and mow the things down. They worked all through the winter time. Here it is now. I mean, I know about the construction, what's entailed. That ought to be covered over, then seeded. I mean, get the fence down. It looks a disgrace, and you know, we're paying teachers money to stand as monitors to keep kids away from our hole. Come on.
And John, that was under budget, that project.
Well, if it isn't, do you have this in all back? That's what I'm just asking. Is it over budget or under budget?
Under budget.
Oh, wonderful, good.
The estimate is that there'll be 20,000 returned to the town from the authorization.
Well, there's 20, we say.
Mhm.
You didn't,
Yeah.
is that included in the 363?
Well, it
No, it's
won't be,
bond.
won't
It
be
won't be bonded.
available till the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, all right. I'm not being harsh on you, but you know,
No.
people will think, seriously.
warned him about
it looks,
that, John.
It looks like hell.
We told him.
It's down by St. Patrick's Day.
As long as the toilet's flush.
Now they flush. The next question, to me, this is just psychological, okay? I respect everything you do behind closed doors when it comes to pay. But I got page 3. I call it page 3. I labeled my pages, all right? It's the page that has the chairperson, you see.
We already beat him up for not paging.
It cost extra, so we
I read support educational reforms, okay?
Right?
And the thing that sticks out, see, I got to get myself out of the program that I spent so much time in industry. So when somebody says we've got staff performance evaluation, I says, that's crazy. If everybody's getting a 4% increase, there must be some people in this system that aren't deserving of that. fact, the young lady that's off to the state, the math teacher, if I had my due, I'd give her a raise. I'd give her more than 4%. And I'm not getting in the debate about the superintendent's pay, et cetera, but we don't seek to have flexibility for rewarding outstanding performance. And we don't have, and this is all tied in with contracts. And a lot of places are starting to move in that direction. Pay for performance, it's called. So I can't believe that every person in this system, because under contract, got evaluated and they all come out outstanding. No way will I believe that.
We didn't ask you
The-
to accept that.
The thrust of the.
Well, I mean,
The thrust of the performance evaluation is to determine what skills need to be developed next.
I understand that, but you also should be telling somebody whether they're hacking it or not, right? You know, are you
Well-
living up to our standards?
Worst,
Okay, let's not get into it. But that's,
No, I can't resist. I'm not gonna let that go.
the other,
John, wait, hold it, you asked a question, so it deserves a
Oh, go ahead.
response. You mentioned accountability here, accountability on everyone, beginning with the superintendent.
True.
That's what Governor Salucci was saying last week.
Yeah.
Accountability, accountability. And I came away from that meeting where, right in the Boston Globe last week, the statement was printed on the front page.
I read it.
All this money going into education reform
Yeah.
and not a change in achievement. I'm wondering and asking myself the question, I was at the same meeting, I didn't hear that. Probably didn't hear that because I know that the accountability in North Reading is measured by student achievement. If we're not having staff members who are doing their job every single day, then we're going to see that on measures like an MCAS test, we're going to be below the standards, and we're not. We're doing an exceptional job. We do an exceptional job because every teacher in this system, every staff member in this system, whether they're out there in that playground doing the absolute interaction with kids every day, or whether in that classroom, every one of the teachers and staff, paraprofessionals, custodians, secretaries, administrators, are working very hard. They are evaluated, but they're evaluated in a very proactive way. The system that we've set up is a professional development system. What do you need? What tools do you need? What training do you need to improve? It's a constant improvement, continuous improvement model. The principals work directly with teachers and staff members to ensure that that goes on. That's why we're putting money into professional development. That's why, if you see on the differential piece, we're making a commitment there. That's where the incentive is.
I guess what I'm striving for is you have goals set, which you're measured on. So the next set of goals, I'd like to know if the school committee has established a set of goals with Carl.
the answer to that is no.
No, so I guess what I'm saying, let's start getting creative, because that's, you know, that's how you hold people accountable. You set goals. He's wanting a lot of money.
We would expect that to be done between the superintendent and
fine.
the business manager. We
And
do
I
it with the
mentioned there's a list.
superintendent.
All right, that's all I'm saying. We set goals for teachers?
That's part of their performance evaluation.
Okay.
They set their goals for the next round. They measure, they put together a
A lot
series
of these
of.
practice might be in place. It's I'm not close. If I had kids in the system, I'd get down there and see it, or I'd just ask kids.
You want to borrow some, John?
No, the point is, you know, it's a nice, it's a
She's
nice
looking for
word, and
someone
I'm
to
just-
drive them to and from school.
What I'm doing is just testing you to see if we have these things in place. That's all
Okay.
I'm doing. I'm not
Fine.
ridiculing you.
Down here, we'll sign
There was an asterisk on page 7 next to the high school. I didn't know what the asterisk was for.
What's the top of the page?
I label the pages. It says North Reading Public Schools.
it. And that probably is the increase of the athletic use.
Yes, it is.
Is that what it is?
Yes, it is.
It's a secret.
I like this, I wanted to commend you. I like this chart where you have the breakdown of what it costs each school.
Yes,
So my suggestion to you is to be prepared to do a prognostication that when the new school is built, what's the operating cost going to be? Because I'm going to ask that question in above the $60 million. The people want to know what the total cost is going to be.